Carmelo Anthony. This is Gigi from Invite the Light, and I do readings, as you probably can tell if you ever are coming across this video. I saw you on ESPN and was guided to do a reading for you. So we're going to take a look at some of the blocks. Actually, this is really good. We're going to take a look at some of the elements in life, some maybe higher advice, and a few other elements. But let's get going like with an anchoring card. These already I wanted to come out. They basically, let's turn this way. Sorry. So basically, these are the cards that have come out: Power, Ascension, and Moving Toward the Light. What's happening is there's a development within you. You may have made some energetic shifts within yourself, or you may kind of be at a crossroads where you've kind of, I don't know, to use this term, become more in touch with your feelings, your wants, your needs, emotionally. And you actually talked about that actually in the interview. But what's happening is making like some major shifts to align with the integrity of the changes that you've made within yourself, because there's some, realizations about yourself as well. And I think that whatever you've been doing, there's been major upheaval. It hasn't been 100% fun, but I think you're kind of coming around to the end of it where you're going, God, I'm seeing myself a lot more. I'm being able to know who I am a lot more. I'm standing in my power a lot more. I'm accepting myself a lot more, how I feel, how I process things, and just really kind of loving myself unconditionally, like just being okay with who you are. All right, so that's really good. So just to know, I feel like you're wondering, like, why are certain things happening? Certain things have broken away, because the universe is in the middle of kind of waiting for you to finish calibrating, waiting for you to kind of finish sort of this shift that you have. It's kind of like when somebody turns on, let's say somebody turns on the radio. I don't know if you remember back in the old days, we used to turn the radio on. I used to change the dial and how it used to just make all that kind of funny noise until you stopped it on one specific channel where the frequency came through very clearly. You could hear the person talking very clearly. Well, that's kind of how it is with you right now. You're changing up your frequency. Like it's just a major internal change that you're having for yourself. Like you're releasing past boundaries, you're releasing, certain things, even with what's expected of quote unquote being a masculine. Okay, those quote fingers look kind of scary. Sorry about that. Quote unquote being like doing things to be it within the proper definition of a masculine energy, which is not always in integrity with true love and with authentic, let's say, goal setting, life goals, and fostering close relationships and trust, and really being able to foster the type of relationships that you need where there's levels of intimacy involved. And I feel like you've been kind of always sort of having a barrier between yourself and other people. I actually always felt this. Even though I don't know you, I kind of just always felt that. And believe me, you're not alone when I say that. So I'm not saying, oh my God, you like this. So I feel like by you having gone through these changes, really kind of gotten a little bit tired of walking in the other definitions, of being in these definitions that really don't serve you, having put that down, having been brave enough to do that, having had a couple of emotional, breakdowns, not like mental breakdowns, but sort of like really hardcore emotional realizations that cause you to break down some false truths and really come and step into your power of being who you truly are, knowing what you truly want. There's just some major stuff going on here. You should really be proud of yourself. So, getting back to what I was saying before, right now you're kind of wondering, like, where am I going? Why is this happening? Why have I disconnected? Well, you've disconnected from certain things because your frequency is changing. Because on some levels, your frequency has changed. You've asked for a higher experience, Carmelo. You've asked for an experience that kind of serves you, or at the very least, I will say you've actually decided you don't want to do certain things anymore and you don't want certain energies. And what I actually hear is the word slave. You don't want to be having to conform, comport, and be subjected to fitting into somebody else's really small mold of you, which constantly um, sacrifices your truth and keeps you in a very sort of demeaned way. So I would say to you as well, while you're at it, hold on one second, because I have like a tendency to like go off into a whole bunch of other conversations. So let me just kind of finish this really quickly. Um, that is why you've been disconnected, and you haven't been able to necessarily connect with a team yet. Because I think if you even check with yourself personally, there may be somewhere inside of you where you're like, you know what, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like being told what to do, or having to comport myself in a way that's just pleasing a structure that doesn't respect me. This is what I hear. Let's take a deep breath there, because you actually have done really, really well. You should be so proud of yourself that, in your quiet time, in your personal self, this journey hasn't been pretty, but it's been liberating. Like, the path to do it wasn't pretty, but the liberation that's going on right now and knowing who you are, your next step is full manifestation. So I say to you, Carmelo, get very excited and know now you've cleared off like a whole bunch of blocks and barriers that were challenging your ability to actually ground and realize true abundance in your life. Now, obviously, you have a lot of financial abundance, but real abundance, like real relationships with teams, actually really feeling that you deserve to be on a team, like subconsciously on a team where you can really win, deserving to feel that and I'm not saying that you don't want to win. I'm saying that on some level, some quiet, unconscious level, there's this thing where there was this not feeling like you deserve to truly win. And it was manifesting in a way of scenarios with groups of people who weren't managing things 100% right, or who weren't seeing you 100% right, or missing a connection with you, in these teams, and typically within management, within the higher levels. Um, so let's see what's going on. I feel like the NBA with the Hierophant here. I feel like the NBA sees you after your, you know, they saw what everybody sees. You know what? You are going to get an offer. You're going to get an offer. There it is right there. It's going to be a nice something. I feel like right now, what you can do is really write down what situation would feel great for you, what it actually looks like for you. Like, for instance, and I apologize again, now I'm jumping kind of all over the place. For instance, how many minutes do you want to play? How many points? I'm looking at 21 right here with this card of 21 right in front of me. How many points do you want? What kind of team do you want to be on? What's more important? Is it minutes played, or is it actual contribution and a postseason into the championship? So what does that exactly look like for you? How is the management office What's the overall energy and the tone from the top of the management down? How do you want to be treated on a daily basis when you're traveling, when there's an issue? Like, what do all these things look like for you, Carmelo? And also to take a tally of seeing whether or not there's resistance in writing out any of those things, because that's where the data is going to be. That's where it's going to show up, where there's smaller parts of you that feel they're going to reveal that you feel you don't deserve certain things. And it could come in the form of, well, I'm not gonna be able to get 21 points, right? I'm not gonna be able to get 21 minutes. I'm not gonna be able to get, 43 minutes. Um, I'm gonna be like this and this and that, like, as opposed to really mapping it out, because you how you showed yourself and revealed yourself within that interview. Here I can see in this card, like, the NBA is watching and they looked at that with a lot of respect. I mean, with the levels of authenticity that came through, um, the level of vulnerability that came through. It's very funny because I see men in very high places, not players, alone, looking at you and really respecting like the emotion you had, and really just through that, really being able to identify the passion, because a lot of people don't see that much passion where you're emotionally invested. But at the same time, you are um, composed and organized enough with your own emotions that you can actually articulate, you're in touch with yourself enough to know that you can actually articulate what you need. And so you're really in a great place as far as having displayed yourself in a really good light to be not only obviously um, a really good catch athletically, but also a good catch team wise. Also, being able to be in a position of leadership where you can teach other people how to maintain a cool head, how to be able to speak through their emotions and be able to communicate with people so that they can get what they need, and to foster an environment where people feel safe in doing that. And I think personally, with the the journey that you have taken in defining self, your own self within the definitions of what manhood is considered and what it isn't considered, and creating your own definition between the two of those elements and maybe more, that you have displayed this ability of self composure, comfort, maturity, and the ability, again, to be a leader and to be able to, let's say, positively corral others on a team in order to do this. So you're going to get this. This is going to come through, and it's going to come through, I think, in a solid organization. It may be a little less money, but I feel like that's the reason why it's showing up is that now is because you're still breaking off some poverty belief systems. And the systems are not about poverty monetarily, Carmelo. They're about deservedness, feeling like you deserve something, really trusting yourself, because I mean, there's just so much heartache. I mean, you could feel it in that interview, how much quiet heartache you've been going through with this. But it's very interesting because this kind of heartache, it actually runs through your personal life. It's from the same well. So to get down into that well would be something amazing. This is something that goes on in your professional life. This is something that goes on in your personal life. This is something that goes on in your relationships. And this is something that always has kept a barrier between you and true intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I don't mean sexual intimacy. I mean true heart-centered connection, with both men and women. It's not to say you don't have good friendships. It's not saying that you're not a good person. Okay. So let's just take a look and see how you've been kind of showing up, that brought forth this energy. Like, what energy do you carry? Cards don't wanna come forth in anything. Carmelo, talk to me. Carmelo. Hmm. Nothing wants to come out. That is so weird. I honestly don't know. Okay, so we have the athlete and the mediator. There's just really a couple of things here. I was guided. I try to be careful because honestly, as you know, I don't know you. There's also for me a level of responsibility to be respectful of privacy. But I was guided to actually talk about a little bit about your personal life before turning this video on. Um, Before I do say something, because the cards are prompting me to talk about your personal life, which is why I'm going off course here a bit. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's put it like this. The more you continue to work on yourself in lowering the barriers of, fears of true intimacy, um, and again, intimacy doesn't mean you have to bear every single bit of your soul to someone else, but really connecting, allowing someone in, not allowing the connection to stall out when someone is truly trying to reach you. Being able to establish trust with someone. And I believe that you have really worked hard within your own capacity to certain levels to try to do that. There's a lot of love in your relationship. Um, I believe your wife, she really adores you, and is heartbroken right now. I don't know what you guys are doing. It looks like, for me, it looks like they're like there's talk of divorce, but just to know, like, there's almost no real need for this. And I want to be careful how I speak because I don't want to diminish anything that either one of you have been through. And I'm not going to get super personal about this other than what's kind of a little bit out there and what's being shown in here. Um, there's really no need for any kind of divorce, because mutual parties, um, both really, really love each other and are just mutually upset right now, mutually, to the point where, there's so much love invested and everything that you both feel quite sensitive about the disconnect, and both equally, with equal love in your heart, have turned to protect yourselves. So to just really begin to work on the issues in childhood and begin to identify the issues that really are mutually exclusive of this, truly and authentically mutually exclusive of this marriage. And begin to continue to individually work on levels of abandonment, violation of trust. It feels like those are things that you have had to sort of grapple with, in your from your childhood. Like, these are things that are just not, they don't have anything to do with this person. You could have been with someone else, your whole life could have taken a different turn, and it would have been the same issue, the root cause issue, persisting and being an interference in the actual connection. There is something in between the middle of you guys, and I'm not talking about like another person, even though I know there was kind of this thing there. But there's authentic love in this relationship, and there's equal amount of hurt and pain, but there's true love behind it. I also think that there may be some, you know, over time, it might have been hard to connect because of lack of communication or just needing to trust enough to share mutual decisions with both partners when making decisions about a sports career. Because here's the athlete right here. I don't want to get too much into this, and I don't want you to get thrown out of the real messages here. Also, remember, I don't know you, and with the cards, there are multiple meanings. So I might kind of be hitting on something, um, and it may be one of what the cards offer to be three meanings, and I haven't said the other two meanings that really necessarily would apply to you. So I don't want to get too thrown off if I say anything about this relationship, but I'm only going to say further there's a lot of love there, and to continue to work on separating the individual issues from them being distorted into being projected as marital issues when they're really not. They're things that need to be worked on within the individual. I just feel like there's levels of you that just kind of close off and may have made decisions, maybe big decisions on your own, and um, it has not made you this awful person, looking from the outside or whatever. I mean, you're just a really good, honest, hardworking person and you want to provide and things like that. There are a couple of decisions that haven't been made that are, as you continue to walk down the path of kind of isolating yourself, trying to connect maybe with other people. But I mean, the love is at home. And it is going to take some work, and I feel like that type of work sometimes you don't want to get into because you feel like it compromises your own personal safety, and that is where the work is. And I believe that you have every bit of ability to do that work, to not, because clearly, I mean, you are very authentic and very, um as you might say, um not weak but vulnerable, being very vulnerable, which there's so much strength in being vulnerable because people can really see who you are, so they can then make adjustments to to strengthen a connection with you, as opposed to you know someone who is non-trustworthy, who might capitalize on certain vulnerabilities if you allow that to happen. But I can see that you do that, and I can see that you are a person of thought and of great sensitivity. That's another thing too, really understanding your own personal sensitivities and the type of conclusions that you may make based on your sensitivities. I feel like you're also a little empathic, Carmelo. I don't know if you know what that word means, but I'm sure you know what empathetic means. But I mean energetically empathic. Like, maybe you come in a room and if people are really upset, like, you can't tolerate all of that. Sometimes even maybe like walking through a mall, places where, not necessarily basketball arenas, not like you can't handle that, but certain places where there's a real lot of focused, unfocused energy, so to speak. Um, you're like, I gotta get out of here, and understanding as well that sometimes with those levels of safety, sensitivity, there's a feeling of um, really wanting to close yourself off too. That's another reason why I think there's certain boundaries and barriers. But I think for you, even doing light exercises such as this light right here, putting that around you and see, like, that tends to sort of clear off heavier energies that you might take on or start to perceive. Um, I don't want to freak you out with any really airy fairy talk, but I do feel like you're a little bit empathic, which means that you could be, people pick up other people's feelings and other people's energy, and it's just draining. But it's also a power as well. It's a lot of people sign up for it, let's say, because they want to be able to help people through their issues. And I do believe that you're that type of person who is invested in people overall. Clearly, evidence as well by the ESPN speech you made about with LeBron and CP3 and Dwayne Wade, some years back. So, getting back to marriage, not looking at connecting or fixing this as a chore or as something that's going to compromise your vulnerability, other than or more so that it will strengthen, because this person is waiting. They are love, and they are waiting to express. I feel like the love has been held back or not been allowed to flow forth, and there's something to me like you haven't been able to heal from your childhood that keeps a shut door on people, keeps a shut door in marriage. I don't want to really get too personal there, but they're only telling me to say enough for you to be able to see the issues and to actually shift the barriers out of there into open doors. I do feel like sometimes, in and out, you guys have spoken a bit, or you guys spent time apart. Even having maybe blocked each other or just like sent the phone, sent your calls straight to voicemail, hers as well. Something like that may not be that exactly. So if that triggers you, don't let it. But it looks like something to that extent. And there's a little bit of ego, the natural ego that comes between a relationship when people feel hurt. So to really be able to put that aside, to work hard to put that aside, to see the bigger picture, which is a really great opportunity for a really amazing experience of love. Finally, something says finally, Carmelo, my God. Like finally. So there are two things. If I were to just tell you what to do, I would say mediator in place, like it says, divorce definitely off the table, working hard on yourselves individually, taking a look at Will and Jada Pinkett Smith's video on Red Table Talk as well on marriage. I'm not telling you to go not call yourselves married the way they have. I'm not saying that, but their emotional journey and learning how to understand and honor their own paths and not allow their paths to get into the actual connection is something that I think you might be able to really utilize as an instrument of strength in recreating and recommitting to this connection, because it's a true one. A lot's been done here, though. A lot has been done, but there's a willingness on both of your part overall, above the ego. There's a willingness to want to really get together, and so marriage counseling. But I will also recommend, if you aren't doing it already. And I feel like in a way you may kind of talk to somebody, and I'm not reading into that because I don't really need to dig into stuff like that. But I suspect, based on the way you kind of express yourself on ESPN, that you have had certain levels of mediation before. It might not be true, but I just kind of assume that based on some of the keywords that you use and things like that, industry kind of words, being vulnerable and things like that. But anyway, so I could be wrong, but to continue on getting that support you need individually and then as a couple as well, because I mean there's just really nothing wrong with this. There's just a lot that of closed doors that have caused a lot of pain and extra disconnect. All right, so all of that can be fixed, and I think it is a good idea that you did actually block that Sweden thing. I'm not going to go into it any further because in reestablishing trust, it's just super important to really protect and honor the boundaries of the relationship. And I think that unconsciously, I don't want to say unconsciously, but on some level, you both are realizing how kind of other elements have been allowed to kind of compromise the relationship a little bit, and you guys are kind of realizing the type of boundary setting you need to do in a world on multiple levels to protect the relationship, which is really good. All right, so I'm going to move on with that. You are going to get your offer. This is just really great. You are in great good eyes in the NBA. The institution is looking. They're looking at you, and I mean, you have the athleticism to do it. They think, and you know. So the other card that comes up is the Iron Creator. Um, that picture could either be very gross to you or very like I don't know. Sorry, like, but let's have it be the latter. This is again about creation, about really creating what this would look like and breaking past any limiting self belief systems that previously allowed, let's say, miscreations and missed opportunities and okay scenarios, but that type of thing. Um, if you want to win, if you want to be a part of a championship team that's ready to take it over the finish line, you've got to be very specific about it, and you've got to allow yourself to align with it, meaning every bit of your belief system, every bit of you needs to believe it. You deserve it. Truly deserve it. Now, you may be like, excuse me, like why wouldn't I think I deserve this? I work hard, I do this, I do that. Any kind of compromise, anything, even thinking, and I'm going to be serious, I'm going to be real about this. Limiting beliefs like the black man doesn't get a break in society, like those are like your personal word, your personal law to God cannot be interrupted by holding belief systems such as that. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that is necessarily your belief system, but I'm just using that as one example. And I'm expanding on it. Holding that belief system on any level opens the door to bringing in scenarios where there's an almost win. There's not a win. There's a lot of losses, or they're not the pieces are missing to put that in place. So I just use that example as one of many, just to explain that could be a hole in the boat, you know? So right now, there is this quiet period. You are going to get this offer. Right now, based on where you're manifesting with your current belief system, is a smaller offer. But you have every bit of the power and athleticism and the reputation and the maturity to command something even greater, but you've got to put the work in. And there's still a place within yourself that you won't go to. And that needs to be that energy, that dark place, that, I hate to say it, child in a dark closet. It's usually our inner child dealing with some kind of trauma. You need to go in there and put your hand in there Step in there, take command, and put your arms around that child. Lift that child out, that inner child, bring that child into the light. Okay. It doesn't have to exactly be the way I described it, but usually it's something like that. And when you're dealing with so much isolation and sort of patterns of disconnect, usually there's some kind of trauma of abandonment or something um, within childhood. You have a wonderful wife here waiting to really be able to experience your love like open, open. It's time for you to open like a flower that you are. The more that I read this reading, I'm so touched. And I thought that you express yourself in a very beautiful way, um, and in an unsheathed way. And this is not um, to be confused with some kind of weird groupieism. It's not that, but it was beautiful to see a man be a man and express that and be so candid, but not overly candid. Not like you were unloading your life or anything like that, but just really speaking your truth. I think you really set an example for a lot of people out there. It was really beautiful, and that you're very well noticed for it. There may be some people who don't say it, but the powers that be really notice you for it. So now is the time to really continue this level of strength within yourself. And you may feel at nighttime, well, I haven't gotten a ring, I haven't gotten this, but you have sort of signed up for this kind of journey to actually be the example and bring forth clarity for actually specifically other men, other male figures to take power in being able to express themselves, being able to express their feelings, being able to let the world see that they have a heart, they have feelings, they have a truth to speak, and that they are going to take power in that and gain even more power from doing so. So you kind of really completed a spiritual mission here. I'm proud of you, bro. And I have to tell you, it was very beautiful to see. And again, this is kind of the second time something involves you that was this much. I mean, it was, when I think about it now and I'm talking about it, was so much nutrients, like just sitting there watching you talk, just seeing this person. And I will say, I usually don't talk about race too much, but even seeing a Black man talking about um, his personal process and development across his career, what he felt things didn't work out, certain levels of maturity and decisions at certain times, being able to develop and grow from that, feeling hurt about certain issues. I mean, it was just refreshing to see in a world that is so starved in the media of really just solid examples. I don't want to say solid examples, but solid representation of men who are able to stand 100% in their own adulthood and individuality to be able to express themselves in a way like that. And I don't want to say I hate to say it, but you were beautiful. And I'm not going to go into all of that. Like I said, this is not some weird groupie thing, but I want to say enough for you to understand as well what your spiritual mission, a part of it has been. And you guys did that. I hadn't had kind of like that feeling. I was saying a few seconds ago, I hadn't had a feeling like that also since um, seeing all four of you guys, LeBron, Dwayne, CP3, and you speaking at ESPN, the ESPY Awards, and how it just felt so good to have four men speaking and not being unkind, not being accusatory to people, not coming with any hate or anger, but just really speaking their truth and standing in their strength and having a kind level of assertiveness. and supporting the community. And sidebar, on the feminine side, I kind of felt like that with like the end parts of Lemonade. I don't know why I went off like that. Like from the feminine side, I felt that through Beyonce, um, in the end part of Lemonade, where she was like basically hugging the whole race to me. And then on the male aspect side, I felt that through you guys on that SB Awards and you here. And I'm sure that other people really got some nutrients from that. Really being able to see that kind of strength conveyed from a Black man, just being in his power, in his individualism, and not being defined by anything, but by his own hand, forging his own destiny in the world. So I'm proud of you, Carmelo. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what I know you can do. There's a little bit of a block here. I really want to encourage you. We're going to pull some other cards to help encourage you to really kind of work through this, because there's a beautiful marriage that really is waiting for you. There's a beautiful union that has been waiting for you. And I'm not blaming you in saying this. You know, it's been equal. You saw, certain things have been equal. You saw those, this card. You don't know this traditional card in the tarot is a person sitting blindfolded with two swords, like crossed over, kind of blocking out the world in front of them, and they're blindfolded. So, I mean, some of it's been two parties. And, just keep in there, stay in there with the mediation. I will also say to really kind of seek out a man who successfully, I don't know why President Obama comes through. I think you know him. President Obama comes through on this. Seeking out another male figure who's in their power, who walks in their integrity, and who has balanced their own masculine and feminine, as I believe you are working with don't take this the wrong way, because we each have masculine and feminine in ourselves. But I believe that right now you're working through a lot more of the feminine side of the energy coming up, which does not mean you're a man, not a man. Please don't get that confused. It's just that the feminine energy is the more, let's say, heart-centered. The masculine energy is more of the action. It's basically tends to be the typical things that we think they are. And so I think, you've gone through a lot. I think you're processing a lot of your own feelings, and in the past you're shedding and removing stuff. It's been really uncomfortable for you. It's caused a bit of a disconnect, among other things that have caused the disconnect here. But I think you're going to bring this back around, the both of you, because I do believe that there's a block with her as well, and I think it's through mother. A couple of things in the childhood. Not totally sure. Don't want to dig into it. I'm not here to like report the blow by blow to everybody on your marriage. So I'm just saying just enough. But that, you've worked through a really, really hard time. You're doing well, and you need to remember who you are. The fact that somebody says, Carmelo, your services are no longer needed, that it doesn't always have to do with you, your athleticism or lack thereof, or something's wrong with you. I'm going to go ahead and just say, I'm going to throw something out there very interesting to you. And it very well may not be true, but it's what I sort of suspect / intuit. I believe to a certain extent it could have been that you and CP3 were quite the close friends. And let's just say that when people see two people getting along and having such synergy together, sometimes that's too much power. Whereas, with the one person, it's less possibility for certain things. So, I mean, that's, to me, like in my mind, it kind of had to do a little bit more with that. And in addition to that, I don't really know 100% the truth, but my intuit is that, and I'll kind of look into it, but just the intuit is that this kind of, even though CB3 doesn't know this necessarily, that it kind of had your leaving kind of had a little bit more to do with him and his synergy with the team. Um, not wanting to offset being able to kind of control that situation because of him. He seemed a little problematic in a certain way. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know the man, or whatever, but I'm just saying that there was a bit of an issue there. And then the more of the things that I see, like with people who I feel carry certain levels of authenticity, who I don't know, so I don't want to claim to know the whole story, but I'm just going to give you my side as an outsider. When Kendrick Perkins says certain stuff, you know, as well. And then there's a history of displaying certain levels of attitude. I just feel like, things aren't always about you, really. You're going to have a great success the more that you really open up your heart and direct yourself and really, even write down. God, you are getting great cards. Infinite potential. Carmelo. At this age, yes. High success, yes. Personally, I don't really see you even being motivated to really want to win. I mean, you got to get super clear on that if you want to win a championship, because I think you're just content on different levels to just play basketball. And I won't say just play basketball, but the energy isn't focused for you to say, hey, I want to be on a team that wins. I want to take it across the finish line. Like, you got to really direct your energy real strong, and you will get that. So that should be done this week. Hopefully you will see this video. There's a card of letting go as well. And you are going to experience a lot of harmony because I think you are continuing to do that work. These cards are beautiful. I rarely ever have used this deck before. I think this is just the second time. But look at that. Just more letting go of the past. Really moving down your path, really shedding, continuing to shed and shed and shed more stuff, and continuing to be able to venture into those places that have really stood in a way of you and authentic union, for which this person so dearly waits to share with you. No people are 100% perfect, but the truth of the matter is this person waits to share that with you. So definitely continue to work with that mediator. Oh, I don't even know if you can kind of see this the whole time. There we go. And the athlete card. And this is you continuing to learn, and then this is the ultimate. If you are really into your heart center, like, there's going to be so much completeness in not only your personal life, with your marriage and your career. It's going to be amazing. If you want to win, no, you gotta get real super focused about it, figuring out what you want to do in the world. So let's just take a look and let's get some written stuff for you, because this reading's getting hyper long. What's there for Carmelo? Analyze what inspires you. Oh, you can't even see me. Like, I pulled it out of the middle because it was sticking out. Analyze what inspires you. So again, it's really about getting specific about what you want, how you want this thing to look. You had this period of not, being a Ronin, like a masterless samurai, but you don't even really want to master. You want to experience real independence and be able to express your success and be you 100% in a franchise that will accept you for you and protect you as well, and train fans to be respectful as well. Not that they're super disrespectful, but this is the information that I get. So talk about what inspires you. Put that on a list and talk about what the questions that I asked you earlier and other questions that you want to ask yourself. Um, These want to speak. Perfect DNA. So it says, within my DNA are the templates and blueprints of perfect health. Innate accesses the blueprints easily every time it is required. That's letting you know about your athleticism, and really getting that out of your spirit, whatever happened down at Houston, getting that out of your system, out of your sphere, so that you can know that you are, you're a well-oiled machine still, very much so. It's really good. So let's see what else. Continuing on with the proper discernment. And that's about, to me, like protecting the boundaries of your marriage, establishing trust, being able to share certain decisions, being able to discuss and treat a partner as if they are in a partnership, understanding what's going on as opposed to finding out what's going on later on after decisions have been made, sort of like a child a bit. These are not accusatory things I say to you, but these are just things and points to release. I'm gonna leave this. This is drama. This is stuff in relationships that are not, at home is where it's at. That's where I'm going to tell you. At home is where it's at. That's where the work is. I feel like there's some resistance there because it really triggers you to have to address some things in your own spirit and your own personal vulnerabilities that you haven't decided to confront yet, traumas and things like that. But those are the very things that have been standing in the middle and driving your relationships, in the driver's seat of where your relationships are going. See, there's deception. There's a mask that still is on, and it's important to really kind of draw the boundaries in the marriage so there are no misconceptions and stuff like that. Drawing boundaries with other people who are just friends and who are, fans and things like that, and just really, really kind of protecting the relationship from the other person's point of view. It's not that you should, sacrifice your own integrity, but just really understanding, like, certain, not allowing other people to overstep things and compromise the relationship. So here are cards: surrender to spirit, surrender to effortlessness. Sorry, now these cards are getting kind of crazy. Surrender to your intuition, and then surrender the idea that you can fix someone. You'll know the meanings of all of that. Let me give you this so you can read it. You can freeze it. All right, so I think this is really, really good. I'm gonna pick up 2 more cards, or maybe 3. So, like, how many cards do we need here? Random acts of kindness. Today's spirit says it's time to give selflessly to another who is less fortunate. Give without any expectation of reciprocation or gratitude. Do so because you know it will make someone's day. I also feel like this could go toward your marriage as well. Just being even kinder. Reaching out, actually being the one to reach out and being safe in your individuality to know it's safe to do so. So career-wise, let's take a look. All right. You got 2 cards. One is the Independence Day, the other one is to get your shit together. Says you've been running your business reactively, not proactively, and it's time for you to stop that shit. Here's your reality check. If being a successful business owner is what you want, then you need to take your business endeavor seriously. Do you have proper systems in place? Are you aware of deadlines? Do you have a budget? What are the priorities within your business? It's time to get all of your ducks in a row so you have the right foundation for your business to be successful. In addition, um, which goes here, I believe, I mean, do you have an agent? I mean, there should be an agent who should be getting you something. There should be someone who's really looking through your paperwork so you never have to experience like whatever you talked about you experienced years ago about taking a 5-year deal over a 3-year deal and understanding the differences between the two. Really having someone who can navigate the way and also make sure the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted while you are focusing on being an athlete, doing what you love, and also being able to have time to heal the family center. Independence Day, though, you are on your way to complete freedom. Congratulations on taking the steps to fully realizing and embracing what your heart's desire. You have a great reading here. Independence Day is a day to celebrate being free from second guessing yourself, from needing validation from others, and from the old dense energy of the past, which is like negative energy. You are like the butterfly emerging from the cocoon as you step into your role as an independent entrepreneur. So that's you negotiating your contract, being a free agent, going where you want. Kind of get them like in the spirit of Kawhi, like checking out who's in the front office, interviewing these people as much as they interview you, which is something I tell people all the time. Should be interviewing the job, the place you're going to be, and under the leadership you're going to be, as much as they interview you. Because I'll tell you, I don't want to put any negativity out there, but when I saw it's Frank Vogel, right? The new coach of the Lakers, just sidebar, right? When he came in the midst of all that drama and he was there like a day or something, and he said, um, he was like, I'm getting a great vibe here. Something like that. I'm getting a great vibe here. Everyone's amazing. There's really good energy here. I am like, if that is how you analyze situations, like you're supposed to be leading me on a basketball court, dude. Like, are you serious? You don't even know these people. Of course, the vibes seem good. They're trying to keep, if anything, it's very likely people are trying to just keep a very good atmosphere, since you're just coming in. Like, please don't be so stupid. I'm sorry. There's a whole bunch of tension there. Please, let's not try to act like there isn't. And the energy is great right in the middle of, so much drama. So this is your final card. Listen only to love. And that means taking power, continuing to take power, continuing to see the bigger picture within the marriage, getting past the ego. The ego and pride will get you a cold bed. Not that we're really talking about cold beds, but that real true level of intimacy that you really try to protect yourself from is available to you if you take power and really, Carmelo, really move to heal the inner child and to reconnect. There is someone amazing here and your wife waiting for you, someone truly loving, truly intuitive. That may be another thing too that kind of keeps you away from her, because she kind of can intuit certain things, and that might kind of freak you out just a tad bit. So in any case, don't allow for fear to distract you from your divine mission. My friend, you are blessed. Great things are going to happen for you. Direct it. Really direct the energy. You can have the independence. You could have the power while still working. You can have the minutes. You can have the leadership. And you can even have the championship. But you need to actually really get clear with the universe and really direct your personal inner and spiritual power in believing you can do it. All right. It's been a pleasure to read for you. It's been a pleasure to watch your interviews on ESPN. I do hope that you actually see this video, and I hope that it is of great help to you. All right. So continue to be a blessing in the world. Continue to enjoy basketball. Great good things are going to happen for you, Carmelo. Have a wonderful one. Really beautiful reading.